Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Dave here with my friend Henry Washington. How's it going, man?
It's going fantastic, man.
So you might know this, but Henry and I host a couple different podcasts together, and oftentimes we're interviewing guests. We're talking about something super specific. But a couple weeks ago, we decided to just catch up on our own investing and lives on a YouTube show after one of our recordings. And we got super good feedback from all of you on it. So we're going to be doing it again, just chatting about what's going on in our professional and maybe even our personal lives in today's after show episode. So Henry, what's on your mind, man? What's going on in your portfolio and your investing world?
Well, we're doing a lot of deals right now. I think I have about 8 to 9 active flips right now.
Is that usual for you?
It has been this year. It's just making more sense to flip because a lot of the times I can sell a property and make, between 40 and 60 grand, or I can try to keep it as a rental and maybe break even or get $100 net cash flow. And so the market is providing us an opportunity to make more cash right now. And so we're doing a lot more flips.
That sounds stressful, though.
Yeah, flips are stressful. It's funny. Flips are like a roller coaster. The day you buy them or the day you put them under contract, it's like you're super excited. And then the day you walk back into the property after you've closed on it, you are thinking, what the crap was I thinking? Why did I buy this property? It's going to be so much work. I don't want to do this. And then you pretty much feel like that until you get back to where all the walls are up and you're getting some paint on the walls. So you pretty much hate your life until there's like paint on the walls. And then you can start to see the vision that you had when you first walked through the property coming to fruition. And then it feels a whole lot better until it's done and it's listed and you're not getting offers.
Have you ever heard that saying about a boat, that the two best days of a boat owner's life is the day you buy it and the day you sell it?
Yes.
I for a minute during COVID, when I was just bored and losing my mind, I thought about buying a boat, and someone told me that, and I was like, I'm never going to do that. And now you're talking me out of ever doing a flip.
Yeah, man, there's a roller coaster ride in between from when you buy it and when you sell it.
I mean, 40 grand per sounds worth it, though. It's worth the stress.
The financial benefits worth it, and just you adding good inventory back into your community just feels good to me. I know not everybody cares about that, but man, I just really enjoy that part of it. It's a weird time in real estate.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you hadn't heard,
I hadn't noticed.
It's crazy out here right now. But it's super weird because so here's the weird part, right? We still have supply and demand in our favor as investors, right? So right now in Northwest Arkansas, we've got about 2,000 homes on the market. And in order to satisfy the demand that we have, we would need about 4,000 to 4,500 homes on the market. So that would make you think that homes are just going to fly off the shelf. And especially with interest rates coming down a little bit, you would think that that means homes are going to start flying off the shelf again. But we're still not necessarily seeing the things fly off the shelf in all cases. Mm-hmm. In some cases we are, and in some cases we aren't. And so as a good real estate investor, what I'm trying to do right now is figure out when houses are flying off the market. So I've got 3 flips right now under contract. 2 of the 3 had multiple offers in just a couple of days. 2 of those offers were cash offers with quick closes.
Oh.
The other one that got the full price offer, we had got a full price offer and then they ended up backing out on us. And then we put it back on the market and then it got another over a full price offer almost immediately.
Damn.
That's what you would hope for in the real estate market. But then we had one property listed, which was similar year built to the ones that flew off the shelf, which was similar finishes to the ones that flew off the shelf. It was just in a different part of town that sat on the market for 30 days before we got an offer. Tons of showings, but just didn't get the offer. It's just weird. It's hard to figure out what's selling and why.
Is it the same price point? Are they?
Yeah, man. They're all a very similar price point.
Which is what? Is it near the average for the area?
The 2 that are under contract, one was listed for $315 and we're under contract at right at $315. And the other one was listed at $350 and we're under contract at $350, cash close in 3 weeks. The one that sat for 30 days, we started listed at $325 and we ended up finally after 30 days accepting an offer of $310,000. So we were under asking price on that. And the only thing that I can put together, because they were similar year built, similar finishes, similar square footage, just completely different parts of town. But when I say completely different parts of town, the town where the one sold fast, I would have thought would be the the town that people wouldn't want to buy
Right.
in compared to the one that didn't sell. And so the only thing that I could put together was a lot of the feedback said that the backyard was just a little too sloped. And so I think maybe a lot of families were looking at it and just couldn't see their kids playing in that backyard. But I couldn't figure out anything other than that. And so is the market slowing down? Yes and no. like it's so weird.
It's so funny that you're saying that because I've been looking at a couple deals, and in this market I operated in the Midwest, all of the single families are going super quick, like still just flying off the market. But good for me is all of the multifamilies are now having price drops. Like all of a sudden, like in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I feel like interest rates kind of went down in September and people got super excited, took a lot of demand. And then since they've gone back up, people are disappearing. And as a flipper, I'm sure that's like kind of a double-edged sword because you maybe acquire things for less, but the dispo is harder. But as a buy and hold investor, I'm kind of feeling pretty good heading into the winter that there's going to be some deals to be found.
That's interesting because here, similarly, we are seeing price drops on multifamily homes as well. But what I'm seeing is that the price drops are because they are listed so aggressively high if they're multifamily.
Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah.
Because I don't know, maybe just the owners are trying to shoot for the moon and see what they get, but they are so overpriced, it seems like. So yeah, I'm seeing some price drops. Is that what you're seeing?
Actually, when I was driving around the Midwest looking at some markets like a year ago, I guess, a couple different agents told me this, that people now, sellers and agents, price multifamily for a house hack.
Yeah.
So they're not actually thinking about me as an out-of-state investor who wants rent from both units. They're trying to find this like magical number that still makes it better than renting, for example, or buying a single family home. And the barrier for a house hacker is much lower. Right?
Yeah.
So, because like you can make it make financial sense for a house hacker at a much higher acquisition cost than for a regular investor.
Absolutely.
I wonder if maybe the house hacking crowd is pulling out. Because then there's people like me who are like, no, I'm not buying it at that price because I'm not house hacking. It doesn't make sense. And so prices need to come down to reflect the realities, risks, the rents that are possible on this property.
So what I hear you saying is it's your own fault.
I did this.
We preached about house hacking for so long that now everybody wants to do it, and now it's harder to find a multifamily. Thank you, Dave. Good job.
Well, yes. No, it wasn't just me. I did not coin that term. I think everyone says they did. I'm pretty sure Brandon Turner coined that term. So it's his fault. No, I mean, house hacking is great. So like, I hope people got in and bought properties, you know.
Yeah, it changed my life.
Yeah, same for me. So it's a great way to get started. But it definitely does change sort of the math. You even see it in listings, right? Like if you read the listing description, it's like great for a house hacker. It says in like every single one. Yeah. And so maybe either house hackers are getting smarter or they're pulling out of the market because that seems to be what's having small multis sit on the market longer, which just selfishly for me, that's like best case scenario is small multifamily sitting on the market for longer.
You know, I think what this is forcing me to do is to do a lot of research on the products that we're putting out to understand more so than ever on the front side, like who we expect that end buyer to be, so that once we put it on the market, we can try to capitalize on the eyeballs that we get at the beginning and hopefully get those offers. You know, a couple of years ago, you didn't have to do that. You just had to make it somewhat decent and stick it on the market and you were going to get multiple offers. And now it is definitely more of a science to it now. You really do have to try to get granular in your level of understanding of who's going to buy these properties. And it's forcing us to do things that I really haven't done before. Like now we're considering doing and paying for our own inspections post renovation before we get an offer. So that way I can see what an inspector might call out on an inspection report and then try to remedy some of those things in preparation for, you know, a buyer getting a hold of the property and then getting scared away because, you know, maybe they see something in the inspection report that freaks them out. Now, you know, we just wouldn't have done that in the past.
That's a pretty good idea. How much does an inspection run in your market?
Between $200 and $500, just depends.
Yeah, and if that speeds up your closing time by a couple days, like it might come out as a wash. You might even come out ahead on that.
Totally, absolutely. I think it's totally worth it. It's just it's weird because we still have supply and demand in our favor, but we don't get as many looks at properties when you list them as you used to. And so it's like if you're going to get looks, you want to be able to capitalize on those looks because you're not going to get a whole lot of them. I think the average here is for every 9 showings, you should get an offer here in Northwest Arkansas.
Okay. Oh, that's a good stat. I never thought about that stat.
Yeah, my agent is like on it. He knows all these things, right? In other words, like, I want to make sure that the property is ready to go and looks great and is kind of like perfect for those first 9 people, because that means I should have an offer if I can get 9 people to see my property in its best light.
I had never really considered that. I used to think about that with showings, like for property management, like 1 out of 3 people actually show up. The people who say they're going to go out, like 1 out of 3 show up. And then like 1 out of 3 makes an offer, usually actually does the applications. It's probably about the same, like 10% of people roughly. And yeah, that's so true. How do you make 1 out of the 10 make an offer is a great way to think about it. It's smart how you're adjusting, because like, honestly, I don't know about you. I think this is what we're in for the winter. Who knows what's going to happen next spring, but like, I think we're in Q4, probably the beginning of next year, probably going to have more of this, and we'll see what happens. But I think, like you said, 3 out of 4 selling quickly is still good, but obviously you have to make some adjustments to try and make it forward for.
That's pretty good. So yeah, and then the adjustments that we're making on the front side before we even buy a property, we're just more strict on the underwriting. We're pretty comfortable with the value of the property. Things are typically selling for around what we expect them to sell for when we underwrite them, but we're making the adjustment is just adjusting for longer than anticipated holding costs. In other words, we're expecting to pay the mortgage for 2 to 3 more months than normally anticipated, because for factors we haven't quite all figured out yet, things may sit longer. And so that means we have to adjust for paying the insurance. That's typically higher now for a few months longer. And then you also have your taxes and your utilities that you're paying for. And so we're just adjusting for those things on the front side. And what that typically means is there are some deals we're just not going to get now. We may miss a deal over $10,000 because, I don't want to overpay and then hold this property for so long that it doesn't make financial sense for me to have it. And so if somebody's, 10 grand over the number that's my max, then I'll probably let it go. Whereas a couple of years ago, I wasn't going to let 10 grand stop me from buying a house.
No, there's less cushion now. You don't have the tailwind.
Absolutely.
A couple of years ago, you were probably getting 10 grand in appreciation.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
In the 3 to 6 month hold period. And that would wipe out any concerns. But being more cautious is the name of the game right now.
We're careful in the underwriting. That means we'll probably buy less deals than we would typically buy because we're offering lower. But the ones we do buy, we can hopefully be more profitable, because if we're super conservative on the time frame and we actually get it done, like 3 out of the 4, we're super conservative on the time frame, but 3 out of those 4 are going to sell shorter than we thought. So that's going to make us more money than we anticipated.
Makes sense, man. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. I think it's super helpful for everyone watching just to understand how this is working. And on the flip side, if you're buying, it is an opportunity for you to be a little bit more patient, to maybe be a little more aggressive in your bid strategy. So something to just watch for as we go into the winter here. And
one more thing I wanted to hit on that you had mentioned, that you said that we think it's going to be like this through the holidays. But what I also think the holidays are going to provide for people is the holidays are like the perfect time for you to be shopping for a deal, because oftentimes people just assume that the market slows down. And so let's wait until the spring. Both buyers and sellers think that, but people don't just sell because they want to. There are people selling because they need to. And they're terrified and bummed that the holidays are here because they know there's going to be a less chance that they sell that property. And so if there's less buyers out there right now, there's less competition. I think there's a great opportunity over the holidays right now to get really good deals, because, what if rates come down a little bit during the holidays or right after the holidays, and then that increases demand and you were able to buy something from somebody who needed out during the holiday time frame, and then you get, the benefits of potential forced depreciation. But if not, you at least get to buy something where you can ask for some concessions, where you can ask for a lower price and ask for some closing costs and ask for some repair money. I think it's a great time.
Don't quote me on this. I forget the exact number, and things have gotten really crazy data-wise the last few years, but I think it's like an average like 2% lower if you buy in Q4 than if you wait. So the 2% on the average price home is almost 10 grand right now. That is worth it. So definitely think about that. All right, I do need to interrupt my conversation with Henry to talk about Avail, the perfect tool for you to landlord like a pro. With Avail, you can do it all in one platform. For example, you can increase your chances of finding tenants by getting your property in front of millions of qualified renters on the top rental websites. Then you have your prospects apply online so you can screen them with trustworthy reports. You have them sign your lease and start collecting rents online, letting your tenants choose how they want to pay. Basically, Avail has everything you need to make managing rentals a breeze. So head to avail.co now. That's avail.co and get started for free. Now, let's get back to the conversation with Henry. For everyone listening, the last time I just saw Henry, we were together in Mexico at BPCon. I need to ask, have you recovered?
No. I'm not.
Dude, I was wrecked after that.
I don't know if you can tell, my voice sounds a little scratchy because I was brilliant and decided to schedule an event for myself right after BBCon. So we just had that this weekend. And so I'm just now getting to a point where I need to sit down somewhere and rest for a little bit.
Dude, I finally did that this weekend. I left BPCon. I kind of went on a 7-day party before BPCon too with some friends. I took some time off work, enjoyed Mexico for a few days. Then I went to BPCon. Then I went to Chicago for a day. Then I went to New York for a day. Then I flew back to Amsterdam. I'm just feeling so tired still, but I'm so stoked about Vegas. I know Henry and I share about this. BPCon next year is in Las Vegas. We'll tell you about it at some point, but we have big plans, Henry and I, and it has nothing to do with real estate.
We are going to have a good time.
All right. Well, thanks, man. It's always good catching up. And thank you all for watching this second version of this after show concept we're working on. If you liked it, let us know. If you think there are things that we could do better in future iterations of it, please let us know in the comments. It really helps us make content that's useful and beneficial to all of you. Thanks again, Henry. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time. What's up, everyone? It's Dave, and I'm here with my friend Henry Washington. Henry, our house.
That's actually my name. My name is Henry Washington. Blah, 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 blah,
blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. I wish this was live.